What happens if you try to season a new carbon steel skillet using an induction burner? Is it going to produce a good layer of seasoning? Will it warp the pan and mess it up? I don't know, but in this video we are about to find out. Now what I have here is a brand new Breville Mineral B carbon steel skillet. I've washed it, removed the protective coating. It is clean, dry, and ready to go. I've also got a Breville Control Freak induction burner. First thing I want to note is that this pan is flat, no wobble or spin to it. The Breville also puts a slight upward bow in the bottoms of these pans. Now, if you've seen some of my other seasoning videos, you might notice that I'm doing things a little bit differently for this induction burner. What I'm going to do is bring the pan up to heat slowly. I don't want to blast heat and taking a chance of warping the pan. So what I'm going to do is adjust the intensity setting on this Breville to slow. And then I'm going to go up in increments from there and allow the pan to rest a little bit along the way, and hopefully let that heat spread out through the pan. And also the induction typically heats the cooking surface much more than the sides and edges of the pan. And I'm worried I'm not going to get an even seasoning. So instead of wiping the entire pan with a thin layer of oil like I normally do, here I'm going to focus mostly on the cooking surface and we'll see how it goes. And I'm not using anything fancy to season this pan, just a little Crisco vegetable oil. Sometimes I use peanut, but I think this Crisco should have a little bit lower smoking point, and I'm hoping that'll give us a little bit more wiggle room here on this induction. I see a little bit of an island effect, and that is a little bit of change in shape of the pan, a little bit of deformation, if you will, and that is just physics. When metal is heated, it expands. That upward bow in the bottom of this Breville causes the change in shape of the pan to go upward and not turn it into a spinner. Now up around 400 and higher, I'm starting to see a little bit of color change happen in the center of the pan. Wipe the pan. Finally here, all the way up to 482 degrees. Why am I stopping at 482? Because that's where the Breville Control Freak tops out. And I'm seeing some seasoning in the middle of the pan, but not all the way out towards the edges. I'm going to get this oil out of the pan. I'm going to wipe it down really well, wipe it a couple of times so that it doesn't get sticky. I'm going to leave it here and see what happens, see if we get some more seasoning out towards the edges. So I finished the seasoning, I let the pan cool down to room temperature, and what do you get when you season a new carbon steel skillet on an induction burner? You get a pan that looks a little something like this. Now there are upsides and downsides here. Let's talk about the downsides first. This kind of confirmed what we were thinking. Seasoning a carbon steel on a flat top, either electric or induction, is not the best way to get an even coating of seasoning on your pan. We got a spot here in the middle that's darker, where it's got some nice seasoning there and some color change, but it definitely does not go out to the edge of the cooking surface, and certainly not up the sides of the pan. So an uneven seasoning. Now on the upside, I had the Breville Control Freak. It tops out at 482 degrees. And I brought this pan up to heat slowly, and I brought it all the way up to 482 degrees, and it's set there for quite a while. And happily, no warping and no wobble. And I think that's a testament to the quality of the Breville. It's very thick. It's got that slight upward bow in the bottom of the pan. And there are many carbon steel skillets that are thinner that would have severely warped under those conditions. So what are the takeaways here? What is some good advice if you have a flat top stove, electric or induction, and you want to cook with carbon steel? First thing I would do would be to buy a pan with an oven safe handle so that you can season your pan in an oven and not worry about seasoning on your cooktop. Second thing I would do is make sure you match up the size of the cookware you're going to buy with the size burner that you have. And here I am not talking about the graphic on your stovetop or on your induction burner. I'm talking about the actual heating coil or heating element underneath. Oftentimes they are much smaller than the graphic might indicate. Now this Breville Control Freak, for example, it says it can accommodate cookware up to 10 inches wide, and that is true. However, the actual coil, as we can see from the color change in the spots on this pan, it is not 10 inches wide. The actual coil, probably 7 or 8 inches wide. So instead of going with the 32 centimeter, 12.5 inch Mineral B, I would go down to the 10 1/4 or the 11-inch model, and that coverage in the middle of the pan will be much closer to the edge of the cooking surface. Third piece of advice, if you're going to use carbon steel cookware on a flat top cooktop, go with the thickest, sturdiest, highest quality piece of cookware you can find. I like the Breville Mineral Bs and Mineral B Pros. They're thick, they're heavy, and that makes them less maneuverable, but they're also sturdy. If you go with a wide, thin carbon steel pan, it might be easier to move around, but they are much more prone to warping issues than the thicker, sturdier ones. I also like a pan that has that very slight upward bow in the bottom of the pan. And I'll note that I've been using the Breville pans for about 7 years now and never had any warping issues whatsoever. If you want to get a Breville, I'll put an affiliate link below. Also some links to some other pans that I recommend. Now, if you want to do your good deed for the day, make sure you give this video a like if you found it helpful. Subscribe to the old channel. And if you really want to be on board and be a part of things around here, consider joining Uncle Scott's Great Home Cooks Club. Lots more content, exclusives, behind the scenes, a lot of really fun stuff. Check that out. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time on Uncle Scott's Kitchen.